Hey everyone, Robot here. In this video we'll talk about what to expect as a new survivor in Dead by Daylight with a quick condensed survivor guide. I'll share some of my own experiences and also share some of the things the DBD in-game tutorial doesn't teach you. I'll also share tips on how to make the learning curve easier and the great and not so great player interaction you may encounter with some members of the DBD community. Someone wasn't happy. If you're a seasoned player and ended up here watching this video, what were your first impressions when you started playing DBD? What's the best tip you can share with newer players? It'll be great if you can share them in the comment section below. I hope the newer players watching this can get some good info from this video. Let's get started. Okay, so you just finished the Dead by Daylight tutorial. You know how to repair a gen. You know how to vault a window. You know what the killer looks like, at least one of the 40 the game has at the time of this recording. You know how to open the exit gates, and you think you're ready for a real game. You hop into a match with other players, and turns out the killer in your game is not the same killer you met in the tutorial. You hide behind a wall hoping the killer doesn't see you because that's what the tutorial told you to do. But you notice the killer is coming directly towards you. It's like he can see you through the wall. Well, he actually can because they have the perk Lethal Pursuer equipped, which shows the auras of all survivors for a few seconds at the beginning of a trial. Essentially wall hacks. Meanwhile, all you have equipped is Sprint Burst, so you try to make a run for it, only to realize the killer can catch up to you much faster than the Trapper did in the tutorial, because they can run at twice the speed you can after your burst of speed runs out. Next thing you know, the killer has hit you twice and you're on your way to a hook. Well, you've just met the Blight, one of the strongest killers in the game, and you have experienced a swift intro to a real match of DBD for survivors. The truth is, the in-game tutorial teaches you the controls and the basic game mechanics, but it doesn't teach you how to survive. And I'm not trying to throw shade at the devs. DBD has grown so much and has become a complex game with so many killer powers and perks that you can't really learn it in a 10-minute tutorial. I will say the game manual does help since it discusses more of the game mechanics like scratch marks, perks, and so forth, but it can't teach you everything. However, today we're going to cover the stuff that the game doesn't tell you, at least the basics, when you start playing DBD. We'll break it down into 3 sections: knowledge, skills, and player interaction. Let's start with knowledge. The tutorial makes it seem like you should play DBD like a stealth game, hiding in lockers and staying out of sight. In reality, that's not the case. Don't get me wrong, stealth has its place in this game, but it's not the main skill survivors use. Especially because killers have many ways of finding survivors' hiding spots, like I mentioned earlier. Let me share my own experience. The first ever survivor match I played as Dwight. I remember playing against an Oni that had Infectious Fright equipped. With this perk, when a survivor is put into the dying state, which is when a survivor hits the ground, any survivors within the killer's terror radius scream and reveal their current location to the killer. That first match, all of a sudden I started screaming and I didn't know why. I genuinely thought it was because I was playing as Dwight and he looked like a scaredy cat, so I thought to myself, this guy must get scared when seeing the killer, so I think I'll play as Meg next time. Come to find out, it was because of a perk. All this to say, you will experience perk overload. There are 2 types of perks, unique and general. Unique perks are tied to a specific character and you can only access them after you've unlocked that character. General perks are quote-unquote free perks, meaning not logged behind a character. You can obtain both types of perks by spending blood points in the blood web. The blood points is the game currency, and the blood web is the place where you get upgrades for your character, and you can also get items to help you in matches. These 2 types of perks combined, unique and general, come up to a total of 167 perks. And perks will just keep coming. Every time the game releases a new survivor, you get 3 brand new perks. With these many perks in 2026, you won't be able to learn them all at once. My suggestion to new players is to prioritize perks that help you when getting chased by the killer, because unlike what the tutorial teaches you, hiding isn't the best strategy to survive. The best strategy is keeping the killer busy so your teammates have time to repair gens, and lasting in chase is a great way to waste the killer's time. The type of perks I'm referring to are called Exhaustion perks. These perks are some of the strongest in the game. They are so strong that they were designed with a cooldown, meaning after you've used one of these perks, you need to wait some time before you can use it again. I actually created a video where I ranked these perks from strongest to weakest, and if you're interested, you can watch that video by clicking on the card on the top right corner of your screen. For the purposes of this video, and to keep things simple, as a new player, I suggest you unlock the perk Sprint Burst. This perk is the best exhaustion perk in my opinion, and you get it by unlocking the character Meg Thomas. Another recommendation when using exhaustion perks is to use them wisely to maximize value. Specifically with Sprint Burst, the best advice I can give you is to learn to manage the cooldown. You'll notice when you use an exhaustion perk, an icon with a heart will show up on your screen, and a red circle around it will begin to disappear whenever you stand still or walk, and completely stop when you run. Learn to keep that circle with just a pixel or two left before it fully disappears, so that if the killer starts to chase you, a bit of walking during a chase will allow you to use this perk at a time the killer doesn't expect it, and it may give you an opportunity to reach a safe area. Other good perks to equip if you're playing by yourself, as opposed to with friends, are Kindred, Bond, and Windows of Opportunity. These are information perks that help you and your teammates know what each other are doing throughout the match. Other tips I can give you are to read up on perks, watch videos that show how to combine the perks to make your builds, which is the combination of equipped perks, and take your time to try them out and understand them. It will take time, but it'll be rewarding when you get those builds to work for you. I have also made videos with some fun builds you can try, so you can watch those too by clicking on the card on the top right corner of your screen if you'd like. You will also experience map overload. At the time of this recording, there are 56 maps available. You can see how many maps we have by going to custom game, then clicking here, and seeing the list of maps. Technically, there's more maps if you count the 2v8 variations, but let's just focus on the main game mode, which is 1v4. With these many maps, that means a lot of layouts to get familiar with. The outdoor maps are not too bad to learn, but the indoor maps can be confusing. Same as with the perks, it will take time for you to get familiar with the maps, but there are some resources online to help you. There is a DBD fandom page, DBD Wiki, that has a lot of good information on map layouts and their different variations. I also have created videos on some of the indoor maps, which can be particularly confusing, and some outdoor maps as well. The card on the top right corner of your screen will take you to that video playlist. The last overload you can expect is killer overload. At the time of this recording, there are 41 killers in the game, and all of them have different powers, which means they all will come at you in different ways. Some of them are stealth killers, meaning you won't hear their terror radius or the heartbeat when they are close to you. And they might actually jump scare you. Oh, what the heck? Some have dash abilities and they'll come at you very fast. And some are range killers, meaning they can throw or shoot things at you. And pretty much every killer in DBD is more powerful than the Trapper, which is the only killer you saw in the tutorial. If you run into a killer you haven't seen before and go down very quickly, don't be discouraged. Just like with perks and maps, it'll take some time for you to learn how to counter these killers and their powers. There's a lot of resources on YouTube that show you how to counter certain killers. It'll just take some practice for you to master those counters. One tip I can share to help understand how to counter killers is to actually play as the killer. At first, this might sound counterintuitive, but there's no better way for you to understand a killer's power than to try it yourself. You will learn its strengths, weaknesses, and limitations. You can then use this knowledge against killers because you'll know what works against them and what doesn't. I actually have more hours playing killer than survivor, and this has helped me understand counters better. Plus, you get to see what other survivors do against killers, and you might learn new tricks to use next time you play as survivor. I've also made videos on how to counter some killers as well. If you'd like to watch those videos, you can click on the card on the top right corner of your screen that will take you to that playlist. DBD has a few terms that are important to get familiar with, and players have also created their own lingo to refer to certain actions that happen in the game. There's quite a bit of terms, to be honest, so I made 2 separate videos to cover some of those terms. You can watch them by clicking on the card on the top right corner of your screen. Now let's talk about the skills you can expect you'll need to develop to survive. The first one is time management. Survivors need to force the killer to focus on one person at a time. That means if you're not being chased, you need to be productive. The idea here is, if you aren't in a chase, you should use your time to do one of 5 things. Repairing a gen, healing a teammate, unhooking or helping a teammate, more on that in a minute, disabling the killer's power, like snapping Trapper's traps or solving the Cenobite's box, or opening an exit gate after all the gens are repaired. If you're in solo queue, take advantage of the heads-up display or HUD. If you see a teammate being chased by the killer, which you can tell by looking at the HUD and seeing if there are tentacles moving around a character's portrait, that means you're free to move around the map to find gens or go for unhooks. Always keep an eye out to see if you spot the killer or where your teammate is being chased so you're not caught off guard, but the HUD is a great resource to help you manage your time. What you don't want to see is someone being chased and everyone else just walking around not helping get the objectives, in this case gens, done. Skill number 2 is strategic gen repairing. The action of repairing a gen is easy, you just hold a button. But the strategy comes in on choosing which gens to repair. You need to repair 5 out of the 7 gens that spawn on the map. There are some unsafe gens out there that don't have a safe area nearby for you to go to in case the killer comes by. So you may want to choose different gens to work on, if that's the case. Also, some maps spawn 3 gens that are very close together, and focusing on repairing one of those 3 at the beginning of the match will definitely help so the killer doesn't get a good gen setup to protect later in the game. I won't get too much into this topic in this video because, surprise surprise, I actually made a dedicated video on smart ways to repair gens. You can check that out by clicking on the card on the top right corner of your screen for a full breakdown. Skill number 3 is team support. You will be expected to help your team, which sounds pretty obvious, but what you may not know is how you can help. So here's a few things you can do and when to do them. Unhooking. Don't farm your teammates by unhooking too fast. Survivors on hook have 70 seconds before they hit the next hook stage. If you remember from the tutorial, there are 3 hook stages. 70 seconds represents quite a bit of time before you absolutely have to unhook a teammate so they don't lose another hook stage. Use the HUD to see if the killer has committed to a different chase or if the killer is far enough away to unhook safely. There is an anti-camp mechanic working against the killer. If the killer stays near the hook for too long, the anti-camp meter on the survivor on hook may fill up, allowing that survivor to unhook themselves. If you see that meter going up, that means the killer is nearby, so wait until it's safe to unhook your teammate. The second thing you can do is taking protection hits, but only take a protection hit if an injured teammate is on death hook or if you absolutely don't want that teammate to get hooked again for some reason. Also, be smart about when to take a protection hit. Only take protection hits if that'll help an injured teammate reach a safe area. Otherwise, if you take a hit in a dead zone, or if your teammate doesn't really need it, you'll just give the killer free pressure by having 2 people injured. If one of your teammates dies too early in the game, say you still have 3 or 4 gens to be repaired, and you get into a 3v1 situation, it's going to be very difficult for the team to escape, which is why it's important to try to keep all 4 teammates in the game. Even though it's important to try to avoid a 3v1, don't throw the game trying to save one of your teammates. Killers may camp and tunnel, meaning singling out a teammate or you to try to get them out of the game fast. And you'll need to be smart and determine if it's a good idea to try to protect them. Doing this against strong killers is difficult, so sometimes there's not much you can do. As you play more games, you'll learn to figure this out. In a 3v1 situation with high gens left to repair, you or a teammate will need a really good chase to bring the game back. Which brings me to the next skill, which is, number 4, having good chases. When you get chased by the killer, your goal isn't necessarily to escape the chase. It's to make it last as long as possible because keeping the killer occupied with you means your teammates can work on gens. There are a few important aspects to keep in mind while in a chase. Where to take the chase. At all times during a match, you need to have a plan on where to take chase if the killer finds you, even if the match has just started. Killers have ways to find survivors quickly, so you need to be prepared at all times. A few tips to keep in mind. Don't take chase towards a generator that is being repaired. If this happens, you'll force teammates to leave the area, and if you die in that area, the killer will have a prime location to hook and regress progress on that generator. If you're playing solo queue, this can be difficult because the game doesn't have built-in comms, so you don't have a way to communicate with teammates. But try to do the best you can, look around, and try to be aware of where your teammates are working on gens. Be smart about using pallets. If you're healthy and you know there's a high chance you'll get hit before you reach a pallet, don't drop the pallet. Use the speed boost you get from getting hit to gain distance away from the killer and reach another area to loop. Having said that, you will experience situations where you drop a pallet but you still get hit through it. This is frustrating, but unfortunately inevitable. With practice, you'll be able to feel more confident on when to drop pallets, but it'll take a little bit of time. Keep your check spots. Do not just run around without checking where the killer is. This is probably one of the most difficult skills to develop because it requires tile knowledge, which is the areas that have pallets and windows, patience, and most of all, practice. If you don't have experience running around with a third-person POV, make it a priority to practice running around the map changing camera angles. It's crucial to know the killer's pathing so you know which direction to run while in a chase. Take advantage of that third-person POV since most killers have limited visibility with the first-person POV. And the last skill you're expected to develop is good pathing. Keep your distance from the killer as much as you can. Remember, you're looking to last, not necessarily escape chases, so even if you run out of resources, those being pallets or windows, you still have structures around the map that can help you waste time. You don't have to only loop around pallets. If there is a nearby structure you can use to keep your distance from the killer, use it. Also, connecting tiles is very powerful in chase. If you know you've already used a window 2 times and it will get blocked when vaulted a 3rd time, try to find a way to make it to another tile to extend the chase. Good pathing is key. You don't need to be a looping god, you just need to be a time waster. And now let's talk about the last section, which is player interaction. DBD is a 1v4 team game. And since there is no in-game voice chat, the community has developed its own language to communicate. Survivors have access to 2 emotes, which can be helpful to communicate with one another. But crouching has also evolved into another way to communicate. A crouch while injured will let a teammate know you want to be healed. A quick crouch after being healed lets your teammate know you're thankful for the heal. A quick crouch when running into a player is like saying hi to a teammate. Multiple quick crouches can mean your teammate is trying to get your attention. Maybe they don't want you to finish repairing a gen, or they want you to stop cleansing a totem because maybe they have a perk that benefits if they cleanse a totem, or maybe to stop opening a gate because maybe they have a perk that can let them open that gate faster. And finally, let's talk about the not so cordial aspect of the player interaction. Like any other multiplayer game, you will run into toxic players and some teammates will throw intentionally. Sometimes a teammate will get downed early and decide to disconnect. Or maybe they don't like the killer they're versing and they'll just give up. They might run straight to the killer, spam loud noises to sell out their position, or just rage quit. Yes, there is a bot that they leave behind after they DC, and honestly sometimes the bots are more helpful than teammates who DC. But it still puts your team at a disadvantage. Some players may even intentionally sandbag you by body blocking or intentionally not saving you off a hook. Some players will seem more interested in trolling than doing gens or helping teammates. Also, the in-game chat can also get heated sometimes depending on how the match went, and people might say things that may make you want to uninstall. But here's why I'm telling you all this. Try not to let these interactions ruin the fun. I've met some really cool people through this game. If you encounter someone truly unsavory, someone harassing you or overly offensive, you can use the in-game report tool. The devs do take action on these things, so use it if you need to. There's a lot of DBD communities that offer great resources and have a lot of people willing to help and play with new players. I stream on Twitch and sometimes I host games where I play with viewers, so that's an option if you'd like to come over. We've only scratched the surface here. The things that I talked about here are just a few that you'll run into as a new player in DBD. Between managing your time, strategizing your gen repairs, and learning to ignore the noise of the not so polite people in DBD, you have everything you need to get you going on your first matches of DBD. It'll be great to hear from you. What's the most confusing thing you've run into so far? Let me know in the comments. If you'd like to be notified when I upload my next video, you can subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to watch other videos with tips or gameplay, you can click on the thumbnails on the left hand side of your screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.